Hello, friends. I'm Tyree with the Tempe Church of Christ. Wow, what a blessing to be able to talk with you today. We want to welcome you to come and be with us and get to know us and let us get to know you. It's a blessing. What a blessing it would be to have you be a part of our church family. And we want you to know just a little about us. We at Tempe Church believe that God loves the world, that God loves everybody, that God has invited everybody to walk with Him, to know His peace and to know His comfort. We believe that we reverence God, that we worship God, but that God is our safe attachment. God is the very power and essence of joy and peace we need in our life in order to not live in a dark place all the time, because life is stormy, life is difficult. And when we get overwhelmed, we get afraid, we get scared. And I've got this little smoke detector, pulled this out of a box in my closet, and put an alarm on there to help us know that this alarm, this beeping sound that we put in our home, is to help us. So if there's a storm, if there's a fire and there's smoke, then we realize that we're in danger and we can escape, we can get away. Now, we have this same kind of beeping alarm going off inside of our heads. Down inside of our brain, there's this space that God's given us so that we don't get eaten by grizzly bears, that we don't just walk into a burning building, that we know how to stay alive. So there's a part of our brain that helps us by triggering fear to keep us from being in dangerous situations. So God has wired our brain so that we know what's dangerous and we can stay alive, we can survive, we can help our family to survive. The problem with the fear brain, the problem with this alarm is that it gets in the way sometimes of us having loving relationships. It sometimes gets overwhelmed about criticism and feeling less than. Sometimes we hear a message in our head that says that we don't matter and that no one really cares, or maybe even that God doesn't really love you. And so that fear message is popping up for us. Jesus talked to his disciples about this. They were in a boat on the sea, a storm came up, winds and waves, and they were terrified and they were frightened. And Jesus said to them, "Why are you so afraid? You have little faith." And what he was saying was the reason that they couldn't overcome their fear, that alarm was going off in their head, we're in danger, we're in danger. And the reason that they stayed in that fear state was because they couldn't slow down and trust in God, because God is our safe attachment. God is our secure base. God is the foundation on which the wise man builds his house on the rock. So we as wise men and women, we trust in God to be there. And sometimes we don't know if God's there. Sometimes we don't know if we can trust anybody, and we sometimes don't know that we can trust God. We want you to know that here at Tempe Church, we understand that we have questions, that we get overwhelmed, that we wrestle with God. We wrestle with our questions. We wrestle with our own understanding of where is God when bad things happen to good people. We just want you to know at Tempe Church that we welcome your questions. We have questions, and we wrestle together with those questions. We are not a perfect people. We are a people who serve a perfect God. And that perfect and holy God shows up for us and helps us, encourages us when times really seem overwhelming. So we just want you to know that Jesus has invited all of us to turn over all of our worries, all of our fears, all of our triggers of trauma and pain and loneliness and sadness, and that we can experience those feelings and turn them over to God and let God hold on to us as we reach out and hold on to our loving God. May you have a blessed day. Take care.